to introduce Stewart Drew, who's Director and Chief Executive of Delaware Pavilion.
Hello, good evening everybody. I'm going to start off behind the podium. I'm not sure how I can really compete. There was part of me being at the back thinking I should probably go home. There's so much happening at town, and congratulations to Emma and the team for all those recent announcements. They're really, really exciting for culture in this area, and I think building a really, really strong offer between Hastings, Bexhill and Eastbourne. I'm going to start with some graphics that are hot off the press. Change of focus, Bexhill is ready for growth. As Emma says, Emma was involved in the transfer of the Delaware Pavilion from Rother District Council to the private charitable trust back in 2003, I think it was. And in a way, the Delaware Pavilion has led a path, I guess off the back of Guggenheim Bilbao, maybe, of Tate St Ives, maybe, I don't know, of that kind of culture-led regeneration. And actually in the South East, I think the Arts Council and Rother District Council, our chairman is here this evening, have been very bold in their support of the model for the pavilion. And indeed, we've seen over the last now 11 years how that's developed through to Towner, to Turner Contemporary, to Jerwood, right across the region. And I think that's really, really, really exciting. For me, it seems like it's almost taken us within Bexhill 10 years to start to generate some real growth in Bexhill. And it seems that we're at quite a kind of exciting tipping point for Bexhill. Of course, for us, our business plan and our business model and our vision and mission goes back to this guy. And you can pretty much pull out all his original documents and pretty much just rewrite them in our Arts Council application. Culture-led regeneration, the Earl Delaware, who gives his name to the Delaware Pavilion. And as I say, we very much work to that mantra. I've recently discovered, and the information was freely available, I'd missed it, but the Department of Health put nearly £60,000 originally into the Delaware Pavilion back in the 30s. And really that's been reflected in work that we've been doing around health and well-being and mind, body and soul. You'd be up there on the roof of the Delaware Pavilion doing your star jumps, you'd be in the library reading books, you'd be in the auditorium watching plays and listening to music. And that's very much the ethos that we work for today, and trying to use the pavilion to encourage growth and regeneration and to inspire people going forward. Just as Emma's done, just to kind of recap, I think both Towner and Delaware Pavilion have kind of quite similar gallery space, about 500 square metres, just enough to hold those national collections with environmental controls that means we can borrow from Tate and V&A and British Museum, etc. We're also very lucky, and I've kind of put there at the top, I think we're the largest creative arts centre east of Brighton. And if you look at the line-up, I think there's nothing comparable. We're very lucky in Bexhill that we have a publicly accessible building, a building that I believe was the model for the South Bank or for the Barbican, in a little small seaside town with a population of 40,000 people. And going back to Earl Delaware was influential in the formation of the Arts Council, and he was influential in the formation of the Festival of Britain. So that kind of follows through. We've got that model there. And we're very lucky to have a 1,500 capacity venue, a dedicated education studio that was added in 2005, and that education and engagement programme that goes with it. And of course we too are good for lunch, drinking tea, shopping, weddings and a bit of cake. We're very lucky to be free, we're publicly funded, most of what we do is free, and we're all very flat and accessible for buggies and wheelchairs and all kinds of things like that. It's a very well designed building. For us, we're doing just shy of 400,000 visitors this year. Our ticket sales are on the rise too. We've been rebuilding our live programme over the last 3 or 4 years, and we're nearly up to 50,000 tickets sold. We're trying to rebuild the evening economy in Bexhill. We're nearly open a third a third of all nights during the year. And us too, we're slightly behind Towner on our learning and participation figures, but around the 6,000 mark of people coming through our schools programmes and our engagement programmes. The visitor numbers, I think, is really interesting. Collectively in East Sussex, I think all the attractions are roughly over 1 million cultural visitors to those attractions. So that's Glyndebourne, Farley's Farm, Towner, Jerwood, etc., within the county. Really strong numbers. If you look at, for instance, I go back to Tate St Ives, you have to pay to get into Tate St Ives, they're doing about 240,000 visits. So we can see that we all look at Tate St Ives as that real flagship, of that backbone to St Ives there. It's a real landmark. But actually, collectively, we're doing lots more visits, and actually the offer in East Sussex is far more attractive and attracting lots more people. Turner Contemporary too is doing around about 350, 400,000 visits. So again, Turner Contemporary gets lots of press, but actually, particularly between the three of us, it's a really strong offer and people are supporting, even though maybe sometimes our transport infrastructure, we're a little bit harder to get to perhaps, but people are still coming, and I think that's really encouraging. Just a quick flick through, I mean, a bit like Towner and Jerwood, we've gone from doing 3 or 4 major seasons a year to doing 16 exhibitions a year. So I'm not going to go through everything, but we all know that we need to create experiences for people. There needs to be a pace, there needs to be a reason to come back, we need to engage people. And for us, in fact, I haven't included a slide, but Ladybird by Design, last spring, nearly 120,000 visitors. We were seeing local people coming 3 or 4 times to visit the show. We were seeing people from Glasgow and Edinburgh and the Isle of Skye and everywhere in between coming to visit that show too. And it's about getting a variety, it's about getting a mix. Bridget Riley, our summer show from last year. Again, like Emma was mentioning, Breaking Artist's first UK show. This is a Brazilian artist that's in our Gallery 1 at the moment. I really encourage you to go and see. But it's making sure that we're internationally relevant, we're there on that art scene, people are looking at us from abroad and noticing us to get that visitor mix, both for ourselves and for the areas that we represent. This is William Sandberg, who was the director, graphic designer and curator at the Stedelijk Museum in Amsterdam, that will be our summer show, and follows a theme of graphic design, if you like, that comes from the Ivan Chimaev show we did a couple of years ago, through Ladybird. We think this is a really productive strand of programming that fits very well with the building and the architecture, but that people relate to, and they definitely seem to be voting with their feet to come and see these shows. So please do look out for Sandberg this summer. And then this autumn, we're really pleased to be part of Route 1066 Festival that Polly's going to be talking a little bit about. But this is our commission. We're going to be working with Fiona Banner, who's one of the YBA artists, Young British artists. This is, we're not, although you'll see my bus on the roof in a minute, we're not intending to put a fighter jet in the gallery. This was a piece at Tate Britain. But Fiona's very much interested in conflict and language that relates to the theme of 1066. And again, putting on a really high-profile artist in that autumn to help extend that visitor season in the autumn, and to be a very big part of the 1066 Festival. And this was a piece called, I've got 1 minute to go, oh my God, I better hurry up. This is a piece that was called Whoop, 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 which was Chinook helicopter blades that were hanging from the ceiling at Yorkshire Sculpture Park last year. Really, really amazing piece. So we're really, really delighted. Together with that festival, we're also pleased to be helping to produce a piece with Glyndebourne and the Battle Festival in October this year as well, which is going to be a very big community opera, which we're very, very proud to be supporting. It's going to be a really exciting piece. I'm going to flip through the rest of my slides, but the auditorium, I guess, looking at just to say very quickly about our visitor figures, that we always find that half our visitor figures are local, within a 30-mile radius, pretty much, and the other 50% are from further afield. So it's very important for us to be distinctive with our live programme. We major with contemporary live music, but do comedy and film and a range of programme. But this is of Monsters and Men, that was a couple of years ago. This is Savages, who played with us last week and who got a really nice review, 4-star review in the Telegraph, not only talking about the band, but talking about the relationship between the band and the venue. And I always like this. I always sneak this one in. It kind of speaks for itself, but it's the thing I'm most proud of. It's still standing. The building's still standing. And of course, Richard Wilson. And for us, Richard Wilson was a real turning point about engaging with the community. The pavilion always had its back a bit to Bexhill-on-Sea, and actually, this was a project to actually face and engage with those people in Bexhill, and a real turning point of engagement for us. This is Richard Wilson's 2012 Cultural Olympiad project that has then since gone on to Hong Kong. So again, it's trying to take, it's very much a Bexhill project, but that has then gone out to Art Basel in Hong Kong to represent this area. Just one nice little, this literally arrived yesterday to Sally, who's involved in leading the cultural trail for us. You might be interested to know that although Gresham Peters is playing in London, we live in East London, Essex, we chose to see her at Bexhill. We don't particularly like the London venue, and the Delaware Pavilion is nicer and people are friendly. Getting home from London after a show is a hassle for us. At Bexhill, we stay overnight in Coast B&B, etc, etc. It's about that experience and the experience of Sussex as a whole. It's a nice place to be, it's a nice place to come and live, to visit, and we really, really need to be selling that much more, because when people come, and as I say, you know, we're 2 hours direct train from London, people do make the effort because it's a special experience. I need to wrap up, don't I? Yeah, it's all right. I guess just very quickly to say about cycling for us. This is Sustrans' opening of the cycle route, particularly between Hastings and Bexhill. Really, really important. I honestly believe this is our Camelford Trail from Cornwall. We've really seen usage very high. Jess has done a very good job in extending that through to Eastbourne and communicating the routes and the safety of the routes through to Eastbourne. So we've now got a really successful cycle route from here via the Delaware Pavilion to Jerwood Gallery, and I think this is a really, really key USP for us. My staff use this route to come to work, my IT support people come on their bikes using this route. It's really changing things really dramatically. Where we're going to end up. I just want to finish really just by saying it's not all just about tourism. And what I really want to get across is it's about us using our cultural assets to the benefits of East Sussex and to these areas, to making those connections with food and wine, as Emma was saying, etc, etc. The other thing for us, and why I started with that slide about Bexhill ready to grow, is that what we're also seeing is businesses are approaching us wanting to recruit more staff because they're expanding and they're growing, which we think is really, really exciting news. And we've just launched a jobs and apprenticeships fair, which is going to be on the 29th of April, with lots of really lovely partners. We've got about 35 to 40 businesses already signed up, with a mix of creatives and corporates at the event, being backed by our MP, Huw Merriman, and by the colleges. And it's really interesting, those kind of conversations about, shall we run a jobs fair and try and charge everybody money? It's very much the community coming together saying we are ready to grow and can we create some opportunities in Bexhill. So community-led, not-for-profit growth through the trail. That's me. Thank you.